welcome to another edition of the Carmen Sense podcast.
Hey, common sense approach to real estate. Hey, Kurt.
Hey, Carm, how are you?
Good. It's been a while.
Been a while.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I am your host, Kurt Boomer Shank from The Right Creative with our real estate expert and star of the show, Hall of Famer 2 from the Remax Realty Group, Carmen Leonardo.
Yeah, clouds. They're clapping. Clouds. clap. Yay.
Now, before we get started and introduce our guest, Carmen, why don't you tell everyone how they can find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, Carmen Leonardo, and Carmen Leonardo Associates is an easy way. They can find me by text message. They can text me at 585-233-4119 or always email Carmen Leonardo, carmen.leonardo@remax.net.
Great. So you can find it pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get to Jillian Sarkis, who is a kitchen and bath designer, which is going to be very interesting to learn.
It's a hot topic today.
What's hot and not. What's hot in real estate? What's going on?
Man, I tell you what's hot in real estate right now is houses. And as we talked about before, the anticipation was that once the real estate market opened up again, it would be gangbusters. It was gangbusters when we got shut down towards the end of March, and it is just it's gone haywire.
Wow.
And it's been a lot of buyer traffic out there, some decent listings, not enough, but some decent listings have come up, and properties continue to sell in a day or two on the market, and buyer demand is basically just blowing us away. It's fantastic. It's very, very, very active out there right now.
Geez, I might rethink. We decided again we're going to stay in the house for a bunch of years. I might rethink that again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got a sign ready to go for you. So.
I know you do. So inventory, is that affected?
Yeah. Well, inventory is low. We knew it was going to be low. And in part, I think some folks are still a little apprehensive about the virus and putting their home on the market. Because, when that happens, you've got the potential for 20, 30 people to come marching through your house, right? And agents and so forth. And that's probably a good segue into something that I wanted to mention. We reopened our businesses. We are selling homes. We are doing a lot more virtual showings before there's in-person showings.
Okay.
But we've been mandated, and we've also taken this kind of seriously, how to protect our clients, both our sellers and our buyers. And so there are some protections that we've put in place. Folks that are looking at homes, agents and buyers, need to wear a face mask. Highly encouraged to use hand sanitizer before you walk into a home and as you are leaving the home. As a matter of fact, on those homes that I've listed for sale, and many of my colleagues have done the same thing, we provided hand sanitizer and spare masks in case folks don't have them when they show up. There are agents out there who are also bringing wipes with them, sanitary wipes, so that when their clients are, opening doors and touching handrails and so forth, we're wiping those down as best we can to minimize the exposure. We asking our sellers to, to the extent that it's possible, turn on all the light switches, open up all the doors, open up the pantry door, maybe open up a couple of kitchen cabinets.
Right.
So
good
that
idea.
it minimizes how many things people need to touch while they're there.
Right.
So we are taking precautions. People are doing this next thing in a variety of different ways, but we're all doing it, and it's a royal pain to chase down this paperwork, but it is important. And I say this because if your agent asks you to fill in a questionnaire that talks about what your current health is and whether you've been someplace that's been exposed to the coronavirus and so forth. It's not because we're just looking, for extra paperwork to do. It's important. We want to make sure that everybody stays safe and healthy. So,
and you're doing what's it called? VeriSign, that online signing.
Yeah.
So
Authenticign.
Authenticign.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Are open houses a past thing now? Or?
No, we're doing open houses. But again, we are just allowing one party at a time.
Okay.
To come through, right? And of course, need all of the protections in place: the hand sanitizer and the masks. The looking for a home, oftentimes is a family event.
Sure.
And to the extent that's possible, we're asking people to sort of leave the kids at home. And maybe mom and dad can come, at another time. Again, so that we minimize, exposure and minimize traffic and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, we continue to, preach that it is a fantastic time to own a home. There is no better way to build personal wealth.
Right.
And, the inventory is low and, it's challenging out there. But with a little bit of patience and with the, the skill and expertise of a seasoned agent, you're going to get yourself a dream home. And interest rates last week just dropped below 3% again.
That's
so
crazy.
it's just, they go up and down. I don't think that interest rates will stay below 3% for an extended period of time. So it's a variable kind of thing from week to week. But even at 3.25%, 3.5%, and that in part is fueling the demand. So it is a fantastic time to get into the market. So if you're renting, you ought to consider buying.
Yep. Now would be the time. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And call Carmen then.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Call me. 233-4119.
There you have it.
And Fitz is going to put that down.
He'll CG that thing, I'm sure. So should we move on to our guest?
We should, absolutely.
Why don't you introduce her, Carmen?
Well, I thought that it would be a fantastic topic to talk about today because one of the things that we know is that during the pandemic, the home improvement stores stayed open, right? And their sales just continued to churn along because folks really were in their home. Their home became their shelter, and as they started to look around, they started finding projects to do, right? If you step it up a notch, and you're thinking about now maybe redoing a kitchen or a bath, you may want to speak to a professional about that rather than just slapping some paint on the walls and maybe installing a new mirror and some new light fixtures.
Right.
And so Jillian Sarkis is with us today, and she is a designer for D'Angelo Kitchen and Baths, right, Jillian?
Correct. Yep.
And I'm just going to let her roll with this. She is fantastic. She is very, very creative and such a friendly person. She's going to take this show away.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So definitely the pandemic has created a lot of demand for home renovations, whether it's a smaller project, something you can do yourself, or something that you would want to speak with a professional about. And certainly we're not going to be necessarily going on our planned vacations to Italy like my husband and I had planned for this past July. So people are looking to invest their money in their homes where they're spending a lot more time than maybe they had in the past. Or also possibly selling their home to get a bigger home or looking for, it was on the back burner for a long time. So I really wanted to talk about when you're thinking about the kind of remodel you're looking to do, because there are kind of two groups when I approach a customer. Someone who is looking to remodel their home to sell it and maybe get a larger profit. And then there's people who are looking to remodel their home for their own taste, for their own use, at least for the next 10 years or so. So that's definitely kind of two different mindsets, because when we're thinking about remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom for resale, we want to reach the broadest palette, reach the largest amount of people will find the kitchen appealing, will find the bathroom appealing. So we generally want to go with something that's more neutral. For the past couple years, whites and grays have kind of been king. You know, everybody wants the white shaker cabinet with a gray kind of accent, gray paint or gray floor tile, and then subway tile. It's a very popular look. It's still popular to this day. And subway tile, nice basic 3x6 white gloss tile, is something that's just going to appeal to a lot of people. Certainly nothing appeals to everybody all of the time, but that's impossible to do. But it is something, it's a clean palette that even if it's not something that jumps out to someone, they don't find it offensive. So certainly keeping your palette very neutral is what I recommend when we're talking about a remodel for resale.
Jillian, has your business ramped up a little bit over the last couple of months? Is there is there some seasonality to it?
Sure. I mean, in my business, there's always, you know, the slower seasons, which is right around the holidays. And then the busier seasons. Summer tends to be busy in general, but currently, for example, I'm booked out to the end of August just for initial consultations.
Wow.
So if you're really looking to do something, understand that it might take a little bit of time to get there because everybody I know is just booked out. I was speaking with one of my tile suppliers, and she was saying how all of her tile installers are booked out into the new year for installations.
Oh, my.
Wow.
So if you're thinking about it, do it. Don't hesitate. You know, give me a call, and we can get the project started, or at least think about the planning stages. Because with the pandemic, we're also finding that there are some delays with sourcing material. We were talking about appliances earlier. It's like that with a lot of materials. If it's not something that was in abundant stock previously, it's something that we might have to wait for. So the sooner you plan, the sooner you order, the sooner you can enjoy your new kitchen or bathroom.
How does someone get a hold of you, Jillian?
They can give me a call at 585-352-4740. Or they can email me, Jillian, Jillian, at d'angelos.net. Those are the best two ways to get a hold of me. And certainly d'angelosrochester.com. We've got previous projects on our website as well as our Instagram. We're very active with our Instagram and Facebook pages. So that's a really great way to see projects in progress, which is always fun to kind of see a before, during, and after. We also throw out little ideas on our Instagram and Facebook page just as we go. So that's a really good way to get a hold of me.
So when yourself and installers are in somebody's home, I assume they're taking precautions just like we are in the real estate business. Talk a little bit about that. How can people feel safe with workmen in their home, let's say?
Definitely. So, you know, that initial consultation, I come out, I wear face masks, I use hand sanitizer, all of that. And we ask the customer to do the same. And then, but when we're really thinking about the tear out and, you know, an installer in your home 8-9 hours a day, they do wear face masks. And it's our common procedure, regardless of pandemic, to plastic off the space that we're working on.
Okay.
So, you know, that helps keep in the dust in general of remodeling, but also keeps any sort of airborne germs in that space as well. But our workers do make sure to sanitize surfaces that they're touching. They wear face masks. No one's traveling, you know, and if they did decide to do that, we would keep them off the job for 2 weeks. You know, we want our customers, most importantly, to feel comfortable.
Sure.
So always putting the customer first.
Well, you brought some show and tell.
She's got props.
I did.
She's got props.
So show us what you got there.
Yeah, so I brought a couple things, some new trends that I'm loving. So as far as fixtures go,
This looks pretty cool.
matte black is a new kind of finish that's really becoming popular. Brush nickel is still very popular, but seeing some new finishes is very exciting. I love black everything. So to see a matte black finish, you can do it in a kitchen faucet, kitchen hardware, bathroom faucets, something really neat. And just the style of the faucet in general. We're really seeing a lot of very clean lines. So not necessarily a super sleek modern look for everybody, particular in the Rochester market, but just not a lot of the extra details, that extra cleaning, all of that. Just a nice clean line.
And that goes with with that flat black. I mean, I just see any other color, could match up with it, right?
Kind of neutral.
Yes, yeah. And it creates a nice pop because, like I said earlier, whites and grays are still very popular. So if you think about like a white and gray palette with a black, so for example, I've got a gray and white tile here, and we put the black against it, it really creates a nice pop for the look. So it's a nice way to create another form of visual interest, another layer to the space. And then another finish that is also kind of growing in popularity, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it in design magazines, Instagram, that sort of thing, is like a brushed gold look. And I know I love a brushed gold look as well. Certainly if I do a kitchen, I will do a black cabinet with a brushed gold accents. I think it's just such a rich look and something a little bit different, but certainly everybody's tastes are a little bit different. So there's something for everybody. But this, again, it's a warmer tone. So getting away from maybe some of the cooler tones of faucets of, 5 years ago. So it's a really, really nice change for some of the fixtures that we're looking at.
Yeah, those look pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Those are neat.
Would you ever mix different finishes?
Definitely. So when you're mixing metals, mixing finishes, you want to always make sure that the finish always has something to relate to. So if we think about a kitchen, stainless steel is a very popular appliance finish, but that doesn't necessarily mean everybody wants all stainless steel now. So if we've got maybe stainless steel appliances, a stainless steel sink, but then we do a brushed gold faucet, maybe brushed gold lighting, pendants, and then the hardware on the kitchen. So it's just making sure that it's all cohesive. And that's something where, you work with a professional that can help guide you to make sure that everything works together and it doesn't just look like you plopped one random finish in the space because you liked the faucet.
Right.
Yeah. And speaking of which, how do you, as you go in with the eye of a designer, but then how do you coordinate with all of the different installers? If you're doing a full, countertops, cabinets, floor, electricity's got it. You got to rewire some stuff. How does that all come together?
Well, I will say I'm very lucky to work for a company that we have all of our own installers.
Okay.
So everybody I've worked with on multiple projects. So it's very easy to coordinate my team since we're all working for D'Angelo's. We're all working for the same end goal. Now, I do coordinate with, for example, countertop fabricators. I work with a few different places locally. And that's something that as a designer and project manager, because I do manage all of the projects, that I coordinate. So it's not something that the customer has to worry about all the moving pieces. Again, that's why you hire someone so that they can coordinate all the moving pieces for as smooth of a project as possible.
Okay. What about countertops? What are some of the popular countertop materials that are popular today?
Quartz, and more quartz. So quartz is really great because, the stone look is still very popular, but it is a much easier surface to maintain versus a granite, for example. Now, granite does have the advantage of being a natural product, so you can get some beautiful veining that has been created by the earth that, certainly a quartz product is a man-made product. But when we think about kids and life, and we're in our homes all the time now, and the last thing we want to be thinking about is sealing our granite countertops, which is a necessity. Quartz, since it is 93% natural stone and then 7% resin, is a non-porous material. So, for example, this is a very popular quartz. It has the Carrara marble look, which is a look a lot of people are looking for. And there are different brands of quartz: LG, Cambria, Cosentino, Silestone. So they all have different patterns and looks. So if you have seen something on Instagram or in a magazine, I promise you can find a brand that is providing the look you're looking for. Some brands have a lot of movement. Some are more simple. It's just finding what fits your taste.
What's the cost difference between like the granite and quartz?
So it depends, because granite has a really large range of price levels, because it really comes down to how strong of a granite it is and how abundant it is. So we can go from price group A to price group E with granite. With quartz, it generally falls in the probably CD range. So there's granites that are less expensive, but there's granites that are more expensive. So it really just depends on your selection.
Are there issues with granite and cutting it and seams too with countertops?
So you'll have a seam with a quartz or a granite.
Okay.
So if you don't want seams, sometimes people don't think about how we have to get these giant tops into your home. So if you've got like a hallway with a turn, you're going to have a seam no matter what, even if there's cut out of the largest mountain in the world. But so you will have seams. But if you work with a good fabricator, they can make a seam that just brings that together so well that it's hardly noticeable. Or you place it somewhere where you're really not standing in a long run, say, 9 foot with a seam in the middle. You put it in the corner where you're really not going to notice it so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is there, I've seen, in many houses, some countertops that look nicer than others. And it's because of the way that they're finished with the beveled edges and so forth. Does that stuff cost more?
It does depend on the fabricator you work with. I will do a shout out to my favorite fabricator, Premier Surfaces. They do not upcharge for those edges. So with quartz and with granite, they do not charge an upcharge. So, and it can make a difference, especially, you've got a beveled edge, or there's some fancier edges like an OG edge, which works more for a traditional space. And that doesn't cost more. But again, it depends on who your fabricator is. So just depends on that.
What do you think is more popular, the granite or the quartz? Quartz.
No question. I do have people who love quartz. I'm working with some geologists now, and it's been an amazing experience because, of course, they want real granite, being geologists. And the way that they look at a slab of stone versus any other customer I've worked with is completely different. And it's really been a neat experience because, they're looking for those special little pieces, whereas a lot of customers might want to see like a lot of movement and veining, and that's what's special to them. But to the geologist, finding a special little mineral in the slab is more important.
When you say geologist, I think she's talking about, professionals that went to school to study this stuff, not rockheads like Kurt.
No, not rock and rollers.
Not rock stars.
No. Yes. So what is a professor, and the other was a former professor, and they're really wonderful. And, it's just everybody looks at things differently. So it's just been a nice experience to see how they look at the granite.
Is there much use of corian these days or Formica tops?
Yeah, I mean, Formica, I work a lot with Wilson Art, which is a brand of Formica laminate countertops, same thing. And it's really come a long way. It's really great if you're working in a space, you've got a smaller budget. it's really beautiful, and there's different colors. And again, going back to the edges that we were talking about, if you do kind of a stone look, Wilson art laminate countertop with a beveled edge, it almost looks like stone. And I know that doesn't sound real, but if you come to my showroom, I've got it on display. And it really, a lot of people are like, oh, is this quartz? And it's not, it's laminate. So it's a really nice option if you're looking at a smaller budget to go with the laminate top. Corian, we still see some Corian. It's not as popular as it once was, but there are still some people who choose to do it.
Right.
Yeah, we recently went with laminate countertops, and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
They
Your
are.
kitchen,
Carmen's
Yeah.
seen 'em,
your
yeah.
kitchen looks fantastic.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is nice.
Yeah.
So it's a nice alternative. Do you do a lot of older homes?
Oh, I love older homes. Carmen knows. He sold us our house. I'm looking for another one.
So in that point, do you have to deal with asbestos and lead paint remediation and things like that with older homes, or how do you work with that?
I've not encountered any of that sort of issue in the older homes that I've worked in. The challenges I've encountered is, walls not being plumb, or when we're thinking about these heavy stone tops we're putting on counters, the proper structural support to hold something like that, especially if we've got a really big island, for example. I worked in an old farmhouse in Scottsville. We had to add beams in the basement to support this new island.
Wow.
But it was a fabulous kitchen. But, they do present their own challenges. There's always, what's the electrical going to be like when we open up the walls? There's always a little bit more of an unknown factor with an older home. But gosh, are their details beautiful in those older homes. So I love it, even if sometimes my installers don't love all the challenges.
Great.
Yeah. You're right. She just took the show over.
Well, it's hard to believe that, we're almost to the end of the show.
We're getting close.
I'm sure there's a million other things that...
Yeah, I could talk to you all day.
Talking about.
What is I can segue out of this. What is your favorite feature? What makes a kitchen pop?
It's so hard to say because I do think that a kitchen's a very personal space. I think what makes a kitchen pop visually is having something in the space that isn't gray and white. A blue island or a really cool backsplash with, it doesn't have to be a wild color or texture, but something that has a pattern to it. Having that accent piece in the space. But I really think what makes a kitchen a great kitchen is a good design. So I know everybody wants to look at the countertops, the colors, all of that first. But really, when you work with a professional, we talk about how you use the space, how you want to use the space, what's good about your current kitchen, what's bad about your current kitchen, and making it the most livable, and the most enjoyable. And I think that's what makes a great kitchen great.
And I think what makes a great kitchen great is the cook.
A great cook. Yeah.
So I would say now's a good time for
Carmen Cooks.
Oh.
Yeah, great time. Yeah.
So what's cooking there, Carm?
Well, this time of year, we're starting to get some fresh veggies out of the garden. And, there are so many things we could talk about cooking with fresh stuff. But I'll tell you that just the other day, I picked some frying peppers out of my garden. They're a little bit larger than sweet banana pepper. And I stuffed them with a combination of sweet Italian sausage and mozzarella, and then baked them in the oven with some marinara sauce and some mozzarella on top. They were fantastic, and I got to tell you, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. You just get your sausage links or patties, your favorite. Throw in some shredded mozzarella, some grated cheese if you like. Some people will do chunks of provolone or prosciutto.
Oh, killing me.
And just gently stuff it with your thumb into the pepper cavity. Take the top off, take the seeds off. And you could do it with hot peppers too if you like. And then just some marinara sauce on the bottom of a baking dish. lay the peppers in, some more marinara sauce to nestle them nice and comfy, and mozzarella on top, and bake them, and they are fantastic. So highly recommend you go to the favorite market and get some peppers and make those.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carm. Let's kind of sort of wrap things up here, I think.
Yeah.
Unless there's something else you wanted to bring up.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Jillian Sarkis, how can you be reached again, please?
Yes, so you can give me a call at 585-352-4740, or certainly feel free to email me, Jillian, Jillian, at D'Angelos.net, Dangelos.net.
And Carmen, how about you?
Texting is probably the easiest, and that's 585-233-4119, or by email, carmen.leonardo@remax.net.
Great. And thanks for listening and watching another episode of the Carmen Sense Podcast.
Common sense approach to real estate.
And please like us and follow us, the Carmen Sense Podcast, and rate us highly on whatever platform you do use. Thanks to Fitz, you are the man at RockFox here for really, really top-notch podcast production and other stuff he does. He's got so many toys, folks.
I just am overwhelmed with the professionalism of Fitz and the engineers here and the equipment.
And we're safely spaced.
Yeah.
So
it looks like we're like really close to each other, when you look at us on the screen. But we're like 6-7 feet apart.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
It is.
And everything is sanitized after every show.
Yep.
So
hit them up, rockbox.com. You can find me at writecreative.net for all of your hosting, writing, and voiceover needs. I'm Kurt Boomershank with Carmen Leonardo, and thanks for joining us on the Carmen Sense Podcast.
Common sense approach to real estate.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.